probably a crowd of 40 people around it last night around 10 o'clock. People just trying to disassemble it, and people standing on a car that you can't tell but was red at one point. And then all of a sudden the whole group here shifted their focus as someone was able to eventually breach the drive-through windows that were boarded up. You started to hear a loud amount of cheering. Turned my attention over, and those boards that were on these windows were removed. Well, there were still some windows people needed to get through. Well, there were people that brought hammers, smashed their way through this location, I imagine to try to find money. When they weren't able to find what they wanted, eventually they torched the place. It was a slow burn where you wondered, is this fire going to catch? You turn away for a few minutes and you just see it growing and intensifying. As I was watching that fire grow and intensify, right around the corner from the drive-through is the main structure itself. And again, pardon the language that is graffitied onto this building. You can still see the evidence of the attempt to board up this window here. The board itself is still screwed and fixed to the building, but people were either able to break through or this one might have burned out. Definitely a couple of windows down from here. Oh man, this is a sight to see. I can see through to the sky through this window. It's kind of incredible. You don't notice it last night, especially when everything was burning, but to be able to look up through this window, which should be an office space, and see a clear blue sky is kind of that unfortunate dichotomy of beauty and destruction that has occurred right here today. When the sun comes up finally, you kind of then truly realize what occurred overnight and how destructive it was. This is the window area I was telling you about earlier, where I watched people crawl out with these cabinets filled with safe deposit box, security deposit box keys, and just dump the keys all over the sidewalk. I don't think to people here that was good enough for them. I'm sure they wanted more money, but at the same time the building was starting to catch fire, so people were trying to act quickly with the opportunity they suddenly had that maybe they weren't expecting when this whole entire bank was boarded up at one point. Again, I'm still just so struck by the fact that when I peered through this window yesterday, it was an office, and now I'm able to look through where the roof used to be, and you have sunshine poking through this destroyed bank.
It's eerie and sad, Jeff. I know that you were there, and at one point it was overwhelming because the bank was on fire, there was a post office that was on fire, there was a business on fire, a restaurant on fire. I mean, all of that just happening simultaneously.
And that's where it definitely started to dissolve into chaos, and that's why I don't think it's a surprise that about half an hour after the bank was on fire, the Kmart's being looted, all the neighboring businesses are being looted, USPS building on fire, another business around the corner, huge fire on Lake Street, that State Patrol eventually made the move here to try and disperse this crowd and try to take back this intersection. If we turn around real quick, you'll see people kind of walking up and down the street in this direction. It reached a point where this whole entire block that we're walking towards, 31st Street, was taken over by law enforcement eventually. It disperses the crowd for 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then you see that slow just movement back to this site by the protesters, by the people who are trying to cause problems or throw things at police, shine lasers in their face, throw fireworks. I witnessed people using dumpsters as like a blockade, a shield of sorts, with 2 to 3 people behind the dumpster at a time, trying to get as close to the front line of State Patrol as possible, only to have tear gas or those rubber bullets launched and fired at them. And it's just a process we watch repetitively, and it's a direct contrast to what we're seeing at this intersection at the moment. Seeing and hearing. I'm not seeing smoke, I'm not seeing destruction, I'm not hearing hoots and hollers. I'm seeing a protest that's peaceful, with people holding their arms up in the air unified. I'm hearing silence as people hold that moment of silence for George Floyd. Now I'm hearing his name, and people here sincerely trying to listen to what the message is being brought, what message is trying to be brought out of this protest outside the 5th Precinct, an area that might be a stronghold for officers.
And yeah, this is what the governor and state leaders or city leaders are saying, that this is, they want to allow them to do this. And why don't we take this moment of silence?